Alpine lakes so clear you can see 50 feet down reflect granite peaks that rise without warning from valley floors. Few Americans have seen these waters because Wyoming remains the nation's most isolated state. 580,000 people scattered across land the size of the United Kingdom. Beyond Yellowstone's famous erupting geyser and rainbow hot spring, this state hides 50-million-year-old fossils in ancient lake beds, wild horses running across impossible sand dunes, and a stone tower that rises from the plains like something from another planet. The landscape operates on extremes. 20,000 bison migrate without fences. Waterfalls twice Niagara's height plunge into volcanic canyons. Rivers cut through rock-painted colors that seem unnatural. And in the backcountry, grizzlies and wolves move through wilderness where the nearest city lies hundreds of kilometers away. This is America's first national park, its highest peaks between the Rockies and Sierra Nevada, and landscapes so raw they challenge what you thought nature could build. The frontier that never quit. Stay with us to uncover the hidden wonders of this underrated state and discover why Wyoming might be America's last true wilderness. Our journey begins where jagged peaks pierce the sky without warning. No foothills soften the approach. The mountains surge straight from the valley floor, creating one of the most dramatic vertical landscapes in North America. Here, granite spires stand as monuments to the Earth's violent past. The Teton Range stretches 40 miles along the Wyoming-Idaho border. These peaks formed through millions of years of geological upheaval. The youngest mountains in the Rockies show their age through sharp, unweathered faces. 13 peaks exceed 12,000 feet, their summits often wrapped in clouds. Ancient glaciers carved deep canyons between the peaks, leaving behind pristine alpine lakes that mirror the sky. Grand Teton Peak dominates this skyline at 13,775 feet. The mountain's distinctive shape has guided travelers for centuries. Its granite walls challenge even experienced climbers. Snow clings to the north face year-round, feeding streams that cascade down to the valley. From the summit, the view stretches across 3 states, revealing the true scale of the American West. Morning light transforms these peaks into glowing monuments. The famous alpenglow paints the granite faces pink and gold. Wildlife moves through the valleys below, elk, moose, and grizzlies following paths used for millennia. This landscape remains largely unchanged since the first humans witnessed it. The Tetons stand as they have for ages, indifferent to time, magnificent in their isolation. We discover Jenny Lake, nestled at the foot of these granite giants. Here, the mountains meet their own reflection in waters so pure they seem to hold pieces of the sky itself. This alpine sanctuary draws those seeking the raw beauty that defines Wyoming's most dramatic landscapes. Jenny Lake stretches for 2 miles through a valley carved by ancient ice. The water stays cold year-round, fed by mountain streams and snowmelt from the peaks above. Mornings bring perfect stillness, when the lake becomes a mirror for Mount Piedmont and the Cathedral Group. The shoreline traces a path through forests of lodgepole pine and Engelmann spruce, where elk move silently through the shadows. The lake formed 10,000 years ago, when retreating glaciers left their final mark on the landscape. Today, its depths reach over 250 feet, holding secrets in the dark blue waters. From the eastern shore, trails lead into Cascade Canyon, where waterfalls tumble from hanging valleys. The western shore remains wilder, accessible only by boat or a 7-mile hike around the perimeter. This separation keeps parts of Jenny Lake as remote as they were centuries ago. Following the mountain wall northward, we reach Jackson Lake, stretching beneath the Teton Range. The lake formed when ice carved deep valleys through granite peaks millions of years old. Mountains rise directly from the shoreline, their reflections doubling the drama of this alpine sanctuary. Morning mist drifts across the surface, while eagles circle overhead. The water holds secrets beneath its calm exterior. Submerged forests from the original valley floor remain preserved in the cold depths. Native cutthroat trout swim through these underwater ghost trees, part of an ecosystem that has adapted to dramatic elevation changes. The northern shores offer solitude rarely found in national parks. Coulter Bay provides shelter where kayakers launch into pristine waters. Signal Mountain rises from the eastern edge, its summit revealing the entire Jackson Hole Valley. From this vantage point, the lake appears as nature intended, wild, vast, and untamed by human ambition. The Snake River guides us deeper into this wilderness, its waters carving stories in stone. Born in Yellowstone's high country, the Snake flows through landscapes that shift between gentle meadows and violent geology. Here, the river becomes both sculptor and subject of the land's most spectacular formations. Snake River Canyon stands as the river's masterwork of erosion and time. Walls of limestone and volcanic rock plunge nearly 200 meters to the water below. The canyon stretches through multiple states, but Wyoming holds some of its wildest sections. Rapids thunder between narrow passages, where sunlight rarely touches the water. Eagles nest on ledges, carved by wind and weather across countless seasons. Snake River Overlook offers the most commanding view of this geological drama. The viewpoint sits high, above the river's winding path through Jackson Hole Valley. From this elevation, the snake appears as a silver ribbon threading through sagebrush flats and cottonwood groves. The Teton Range rises in the background, its jagged peaks reflecting in the river's calmer stretches. Morning light transforms the entire scene into layers of gold and shadow. This overlook reveals how the Snake River shapes everything it touches. Wildlife trails follow its banks through the seasons. Moose wade through shallow sections, while osprey dive for cutthroat trout. The river corridor creates its own ecosystem in this high desert, supporting life in ways the surrounding plains cannot. Each bend tells a story, written in stone and water over geological time. We find ourselves standing in the heart of Jackson Hole, a valley carved by ancient glaciers. The Snake River winds through its heart, carrying snowmelt from peaks that pierce 3,000 meters into Wyoming sky. Here, the American West reveals its most dramatic face. Jackson Hole Valley spreads beneath the Teton Range in a display of raw natural power. Sage-covered flats give way to aspen groves that turn gold each autumn. Elk herds move across open meadows, in numbers reaching thousands. Winter transforms this basin into a white expanse where temperatures drop to -30. The valley floor sits at 2,000 meters, yet feels intimate despite its scale. Morning light catches steam, rising from hot springs hidden in the willows. Mormon Row Historic District tells a different story within this wilderness. Homesteaders arrived here in the 1890s, building farms where none should exist. Their barns still stand against the Teton backdrop, weathered wood against eternal stone. The Moulton family structures have become icons of human persistence. These buildings lean slightly now, aged by over a century of Wyoming winters. Photographers come at dawn to capture the barns with alpenglow, painting the peaks behind them. Our path leads southwest, where Wyoming's harsh edges soften into Star Valley. This high mountain valley stretches between the Salt River Range and the Wyoming Range, creating a protected corridor of life. Here, ranching families have worked the same land for 5 generations. The valley floor sits at 2,000 meters, where winters arrive early and spring comes late. The Salt River flows through this valley like a silver thread, binding the land together. Born from mountain springs and snowmelt, it runs north in defiance of most American rivers. Clear waters move over smooth stones, carrying the minerals that give the river its name. Cutthroat trout hold in the deeper pools, native fish in their original waters. Along the riverbanks, cottonwoods mark the seasons with reliable precision. Their leaves turn gold each September, creating ribbons of color through the valley. Moose wade through the shallows in early morning, while beavers rebuild dams destroyed by spring floods. The river supports more than fish. It sustains an entire ecosystem that has remained largely unchanged since settlers first arrived. In the heart of this valley, we encounter Afton and one of nature's most puzzling secrets. This small town sits where the Salt River winds through a valley framed by the Wyoming and Salt River ranges. Here, beneath towering peaks, one of North America's most puzzling geological phenomena waits. A spring that breathes with the mountain itself. The intermittent spring defies what we know about water flow. Unlike typical springs that run constantly, this one starts and stops like clockwork. For 18 minutes, cold water rushes from the mountainside at nearly 5,000 gallons per minute. Then silence. The flow stops completely for another 18 minutes before beginning again. This rhythm continues endlessly through seasons and years. Scientists explain the mechanism through underground siphons and hidden caverns, yet watching it feels like witnessing mountain magic. The spring emerges from Swift Creek Canyon, surrounded by limestone cliffs and dense forest. Local ranchers discovered it over a century ago, amazed by water that seemed to follow its own schedule. Today, a short trail leads visitors to this natural oddity, where they can time the cycles themselves and wonder at Earth's hidden workings. The Wyoming Range rises before us, forming the western backbone of this corner of the state. Snow clings to peaks, reaching 3,700 meters into thin air. Below, valleys hold secrets carved by ice ages long past. The Salt River Range extends this mountain story southward. Here, the landscape shifts between high meadows and steep canyon walls. Rivers have cut deep channels through layers of rock laid down over millions of years. Each exposed band tells of ancient seas, volcanic eruptions, and the slow dance of continental plates. Wildlife moves through these ranges, following paths older than human memory. Elk herds migrate with the seasons across ridgelines few humans ever see. Mountain lions pad silently through forests of lodgepole pine and Douglas fir. In the highest reaches, bighorn sheep navigate cliffs that would stop any other creature. This is wilderness in its truest form, where nature's rhythms continue undisturbed. Traveling south through these mountains, we step back 50 million years at fossil Butte National Monument. This 8,000-acre preserve protects one of the world's most complete fossil records. Stone layers reveal a subtropical past when palm trees grew where sagebrush now dominates. The butte itself rises like a natural museum above the valley floor. Each rock stratum tells its own chapter of prehistoric time. Fish, insects, plants, and mammals lie perfectly preserved in limestone layers. Scientists have uncovered over 300 species here, from tiny beetles to 6-foot crocodiles. The detail in these fossils astounds: individual scales, delicate wing membranes, even stomach contents remain visible. Walking the nature trails reveals how past and present merge in this landscape. Modern pronghorn graze where ancient horses once roamed. Golden eagles soar above cliffs that once bordered a massive lake system. The visitor center displays specimens that bridge millions of years: a bat with fur still visible, a snake caught mid-meal, palm fronds that look freshly fallen. This monument preserves not just fossils, but entire ecosystems frozen in stone. Where Wyoming meets Utah, the earth opens into a canyon of impossible colors. Flaming Gorge stretches across this border region, carved by the Green River through layers of red rock. The landscape here defies the prairie expectations of Wyoming. Desert meets mountain in a collision of geological time. Flaming Gorge Reservoir fills the canyon with 91 miles of deep blue water. Created in 1964 by the Flaming Gorge Dam, this body of water transformed the ancient riverbed. The contrast strikes every visitor: sapphire waters against crimson cliffs. Rainbow trout and kokanee salmon swim where rapids once roared. The reservoir reaches depths of 170 meters in places. The Flaming Gorge Recreation Area protects over 200,000 acres of this dramatic landscape. Red Canyon overlooks reveal the full scope of nature's artistry here. Layers of sandstone tell stories spanning 250 million years. Bighorn sheep navigate the steep terrain, while golden eagles circle above. The area encompasses both high desert and pine forests, creating diverse habitats rarely found together. We follow the Green River upstream to the town that bears its name. This town sits where the river of the same name cuts through layers of geological time. Founded in 1868 as a railroad stop, it became a gateway to some of Wyoming's most dramatic landscapes. Here, the high desert meets canyon country in ways that challenge perception. The Green River itself flows through town like a ribbon of jade through red rock country. This waterway carved the surrounding canyons over millions of years, exposing stone layers that tell Earth's story. The river runs cold and clear from mountain snowmelt far to the north. Local outfitters launch expeditions here into Flaming Gorge and beyond, where the water has sculpted corridors through time itself. Beyond town limits, the landscape transforms into something otherworldly. Badlands stretch in every direction, painted in shades of rust, cream, and ash. These formations arose from ancient lake beds that dried 60 million years ago. Wind and water continue their patient work, carving new shapes from the soft, sedimentary rock each season. Venturing into the high desert, we discover Piedmont, a ghost town frozen in time. This forgotten settlement sits along what was once the Transcontinental Railroad's lifeline. Founded in 1869, Piedmont thrived as a water and charcoal stop for steam engines crossing the continent. Today, stone foundations and crumbling walls mark where a community of 3,000 once lived. The Piedmont ghost town ruins scatter across the windswept plateau like broken teeth. Stone walls rise from the earth, their mortar long surrendered to Wyoming winters. The old cemetery holds weathered headstones, many belonging to children who never saw their 5th birthday. Railroad ties rot in the sage, marking the path that brought life and later took it away. Walking among these remnants, the weight of abandonment presses down like the vast sky above. The Piedmont charcoal kilns stand as the town's most intact survivors. 3 beehive-shaped structures built from native stone reach 20 feet into the Wyoming sky. Workers once fed these kilns day and night, turning timber into charcoal for the railroad's hungry engines. Their circular openings face the prevailing winds, designed to create the perfect burn. Inside, soot still blackens the walls, where fires blazed for decades. These kilns produced the fuel that powered westward expansion, their stone shells now monuments to an industry that consumed entire forests. Where the earth reveals its ancient secrets, the red desert spreads across southwestern Wyoming. This vast expanse covers more than 2 million acres of high desert terrain. Wind and water have sculpted this landscape for 50 million years. The result defies every expectation of what a desert should be. The Honeycomb Buttes rise from the desert floor like monuments from another world. These Badlands formations twist and fold in patterns that seem impossible. Layers of red, yellow, and white sediment create natural architecture beyond human imagination. Each butte tells a story written in stone, recording epochs when this land lay beneath prehistoric seas. Walking among these formations feels like stepping onto an alien planet. The rock walls curve and spiral in ways that challenge perception. Erosion has carved deep channels between the buttes, creating a maze of canyons and passages. Morning light transforms these stones into glowing sculptures, while shadows at dusk reveal hidden depths and textures that cameras struggle to capture. We turn eastward toward the Wind River Range, Wyoming's highest and wildest sanctuary. This mountain spine runs 160 kilometers through wilderness so complete that some valleys have never known a trail. Here, glaciers still carve the land. Alpine lakes fill basins scraped from bedrock. The range holds more than 40 peaks above 4,000 meters, creating Wyoming's highest and most remote mountain sanctuary. Gannett Peak stands as Wyoming's crown, reaching 4,207 meters into thin air. The highest point between the Rocky Mountains and the Sierra Nevada demands respect. Glaciers cling to its flanks year-round. The approach alone takes days through trackless terrain. From its summit, the Earth curves away in all directions. No roads visible. No towns breaking the horizon. Just endless waves of stone and ice stretching toward infinity. Below these heights, Titcomb Basin opens like a secret kept by granite walls. 7 pristine lakes string together like sapphires dropped from the sky. Each reflects peaks that tower 2,000 meters straight up from the water. The basin sits at 3,300 meters, where trees surrender to stone. Morning light turns the granite gold. Evening paints it purple and rose. Between these moments, silence fills the space between heartbeats. This is wilderness in its purest form, unchanged since the last ice age released its grip. Deep in these northern reaches, we uncover Green River Lakes, a glacial masterpiece hidden from the world. This remote wilderness area sits 40 miles from the nearest paved road. The journey here demands commitment. Those who make it discover one of the most pristine alpine lake systems in the American West. 2 lakes stretch through the valley, their waters colored an impossible shade of jade. Glacial sediment creates this phenomenon, suspended particles catching sunlight in ways that seem to defy physics. The larger lake runs 3 miles long, reaching depths of 150 feet. Mountains rise directly from the shoreline, their granite faces reflected perfectly in the still morning water. Squaretop Mountain dominates the horizon, its flat summit standing 3,000 feet above the lakes. This monolithic tower of limestone formed 300 million years ago when ancient seas covered Wyoming. Wind and ice carved away the softer rock, leaving this geometric giant to guard the valley. Eagles nest in its upper reaches. Mountain goats traverse ledges that seem impossible to reach. The mountain watches over a landscape that has changed little since the last ice age retreated. Our adventure brings us to Yellowstone, where the Earth's molten heart burns closest to the surface. This volcanic wilderness holds half the world's geothermal features within its borders. Steam rises from thousands of vents and pools across 2 million acres. Ancient calderas sleep beneath forests and meadows, their power visible in every bubbling spring. Grand Prismatic Spring burns like a rainbow, fallen to earth. The largest hot spring in America stretches 120 meters across. Its waters reach temperatures of 70 degrees Celsius at the center. Thermophilic bacteria paint the edges in bands of orange, yellow, and green. From above, the spring resembles a giant blue eye rimmed with fire. Boardwalks allow visitors to witness this natural artwork up close. Old Faithful erupts with clockwork precision every 90 minutes. This geyser shoots boiling water 40 meters into Wyoming sky. Each eruption lasts between 1 and 5 minutes, releasing up to 32,000 liters of water. Native peoples knew this feature for centuries before European explorers named it. The surrounding thermal basin contains dozens of other geysers and hot springs. Old Faithful remains the most predictable, drawing watchers who gather in silent anticipation. Mammoth Hot Springs builds terraces of limestone that seem carved by ancient civilizations. Hot water flows over travertine formations, creating new sculptures daily. The terraces change color as mineral deposits shift and bacteria colonies migrate. Some sections gleam white as fresh snow, while others show rust and amber tones. These thermal features have been building for thousands of years. Each day adds new layers to nature's limestone cathedral. Within the park, we witness the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, carved by ancient forces. This massive gorge cuts through volcanic rock, revealing millions of years of geological drama. The canyon stretches 32 kilometers long and drops nearly 400 meters at its deepest point. Here, nature demonstrates its patient power through color and scale. The Yellowstone River flows through this chasm like liquid silver. Born high in the Absaroka Range, the river has carved this canyon over thousands of years. Its waters run clear and cold, carrying snowmelt from distant peaks. The current moves with purpose, continuing its eternal work of erosion. Along the canyon walls, the river has exposed layers of rhyolite rock, each band telling part of Yellowstone's volcanic story. Lower Falls thunders at the canyon's head, where the Yellowstone River plunges 94 meters. This waterfall drops twice the height of Niagara, sending mist rising into mountain air. The roar echoes off canyon walls, a sound that reaches deep into human memory. Rainbow colors dance in the spray when sunlight hits at the right angle. The falls mark where hard rhyolite meets softer rock, creating this dramatic plunge. Morning light transforms the canyon walls into a painter's palette. Iron compounds in the rock create yellows, oranges, and deep reds. Steam vents along the walls add their own ethereal touch. From various viewpoints, the canyon reveals different faces, sometimes gentle, sometimes fierce. This is Earth architecture at its most raw and beautiful. Where the Earth opens into endless grassland, Lamar Valley reveals Wyoming's truest nature. This vast basin stretches between mountain ridges, holding North America's most complete ecosystem. Here, predator and prey move through landscapes unchanged since the ice retreated. The Lamar River winds through it all, carrying snowmelt from peaks that pierce the sky. Dawn brings the valley's ancient rhythm to life. Bison herds move across the meadows in numbers that recall a different century. Wolves watch from ridgelines, their presence felt even when unseen. grizzlies emerge from timber stands to forage in the open grassland. This is not a zoo or preserve. It's wilderness functioning as it always has. The valley floor tells stories written in tracks and trails. Elk paths cross through sagebrush where pronghorn graze. Golden eagles circle on thermals rising from sun-warmed earth. In winter, the drama intensifies as survival becomes the only law. Steam rises from the river while temperatures plunge below zero. Every creature here earns its place through endurance and instinct. Beyond the park's boundaries lies Sunlight Basin, one of America's last secrets. This isolated valley sits 45 miles from the nearest town, accessible only by winding mountain roads that test both vehicle and nerve. Here, grizzlies outnumber humans by far. The basin cradles one of North America's last truly wild places, where elk herds move through meadows unchanged since the ice retreated. Sunlight Basin Valley stretches between peaks that pierce 3,600 meters into Wyoming sky. Ancient volcanic rock forms these mountains, their layers telling stories of fire and time. The valley floor holds pristine streams where native cutthroat trout swim in water so clear it seems like air. Summer brings brief explosions of wildflowers across alpine meadows. Winter locks the basin in silence, with snow depths reaching 6 meters in the high country. Sunlight Creek Bridge spans a gorge so deep that looking down brings vertigo. At 90 meters above the rushing water, this engineering marvel connects the basin to the outside world. Built in 1936, the bridge hangs suspended between canyon walls that drop away into shadow. The creek below carved this chasm over millions of years, cutting through layers of ancient seafloor lifted skyward. From the bridge, the view opens across wilderness that rolls unbroken to the horizon. Few places in America remain this untouched by modern life. Sunlight Basin exists as it always has, ruled by seasons and wildlife rather than human schedules. The nearest services lie hours away over mountain passes that close with the first heavy snows. Those who reach this valley find something increasingly rare, a landscape where nature's original design remains intact. Crossing to the far northeast, we encounter a monument that stops us in our tracks. Devil's Tower stands alone on the northeastern plains, a volcanic neck thrust 867 feet into Wyoming sky. This stone column emerged from the earth 65 million years ago. Sacred to northern plains, tribes who call it Bear Lodge, the tower draws eyes and spirits upward. Vertical grooves score the tower's sides like claw marks from an ancient beast. These columns, formed as molten rock, cooled and contracted deep underground. Time and erosion stripped away softer sediments, leaving this harder core exposed. The Belfourche River curves around its base, where prairie dogs chirp warnings and eagles circle overhead. Each face of the tower tells a different story through light and shadow. Morning sun warms the eastern walls, while climbers trace routes first conquered in 1893. Native ceremonies still honor this place where earth meets sky. The surrounding landscape rolls away in all directions, emphasizing how this solitary giant punctuates an otherwise horizontal world. These ancient forces have shaped more than just the land. They've carved out a capital city where the frontier spirit still breathes. Cheyenne rises from the high plains at nearly 2,000 meters, where Wyoming's vastness meets human determination. Founded during the Transcontinental Railroad's push westward, this city remains the beating heart of America's least populated state. Here, cowboy culture isn't a museum piece, but a living tradition. The Wyoming state capitol stands as proof that democracy can flourish even in the most remote places. Completed in 1888, its golden dome catches prairie sunlight like a beacon across the plains. Inside, hand-carved woodwork and stained glass tell stories of statehood and struggle. The building's sandstone walls hold the weight of decisions that shaped the American West. Walking through the Capitol's halls reveals Wyoming's pioneering character in unexpected ways. This was the first state to grant women the right to vote, decades before the rest of the nation. Original murals depict cattle drives and oil derricks alongside democratic ideals. The restored chambers echo with debates about land, water, and the balance between preservation and progress. Even today, legislators gather here where the Great Plains meet governance, continuing conversations that began over a century ago. Wind carries the scent of pine and dust, same as it has for 1,000 years. In Wyoming, isolation sharpens the senses. Light strikes the buttes and snowfields like a signal from another time. The land feels still, but nothing here is standing still. Water runs, wind moves, and stone erodes slowly under the weight of sky and time. Out past the quiet of Sunlight Basin and the steaming veins of Norris, the road goes on. Devil's Tower stands like a question with no answer. Gannett Peak watches over its glaciers in silence. And near Piedmont, the old kilns crumble, forgotten by most, but not yet gone. Click on the video that's appearing now to continue your journey of the wonders of the world.